Here is the window for Q4 2025. What was always felt like something far in the future is now something just around the corner. It's mid April. Time is flying. That's about 5, 6 months from now. And it's not just like until then, we go sideways and then one random day decide to put in a top in that Q4 like we always do. Instead, there's a process behind it. And if we do top and make a higher top later this year, there will be some sort of growth phase before that. In other words, if you're looking for some sort of confirmation to get long in crypto, where you think you can then experience those gains for a top later this year, you might need a reality check. I'm not sure what sort of signal you're looking for, what confirmation you need, but just note that by the time you get that, a lot of these coins are going to be significantly up from their lows. If you're someone who needs a 2 to 3x, then I would say go ahead and wait. I think you can afford waiting for bullish confirmation. 2 to 3x's should come pretty readily. That being said though, assuming how poor a lot of people performed this cycle, if you need a 5 to 10x, I believe it is extremely unlikely to get that once things are going to the upside. For example, even these past weeks, Bitcoin has been in the mid 80,000s, and an asset like Fartcoin has done a 5x in that time period, a 400% gain. So if you don't lock in, you're gonna miss a lot more of these. And you may be saying and thinking, well, that's great, thanks for telling me now, but why weren't you saying this before when Fartcoin was 20 cents so that I can get this 5x? To which I would say, well, that's exactly what I did in my Discord, that is, where I gave this play as early as the 26th of January, giving the exact levels to buy before the breakdown even occurred, where I continued to give DCA entries and when to buy as that breakdown in Fartcoin progressed. And what I have now is a heap load of people who caught the bottom on Fartcoin between 20 and 30 cents, up a 4 or 5x, having changed their entire outlook for this cycle and on the verge of walking away with what will probably be a lot of money. So don't think that there's not anything you can be doing right now. You have to hold yourself accountable. There are cycle changing, life changing plays that are developing as we speak. As I opened up with in this video, there's not much time, half a year until Q4, and then you'll have to wait another 4 years after that. Now, if you're looking for a community or Discord, an alpha group to join, to get ready, where Fartcoin is just one of many plays we're getting into for that run, then check out the Discord. There is a link in the description. I heard a lot of other groups are using the lackluster movements of the market as an excuse to not do anything. To me, I see it the complete opposite way. The effort and investments need to be made right now so that you're not scrambling when things eventually go to the upside. Also, if you need one-on-one help, a call with me, a mentorship, that is also available. There are limited spots. If you're someone who really needs to lock down for this cycle, get things right, want another opinion, then check that out again. There is a link in the description. In terms of this video, what sectors would I focus on for the next leg up? I have not seen any invalidation with this drawdown whatsoever. Bears sound smart, bulls make money. If you want to say a bear market has begun, that is fair. But then make sure you're either short, plan on going short, or are sidelined. So if you're bullish, I would argue it's not that you have to be buying right now, but you need a plan in place, specific coins you want, and the specific levels you want to buy at. Now, the class of crypto I would be very careful of are those shilled based on good fundamentals. I cannot remember any time this cycle where a coin had consensus good fundamentals, which then translated to upward price action. That does not exist. Anyone telling you to buy a coin because it has this much revenue, this much usage, these partners, none of that matters. For example, I have Jupiter on my screen. Jupiter, the platform, the aggregator, did incredible this cycle in terms of what they achieved with their metrics. And this is what price action had to show for it. Just a horrible chart overall. And so what I would ask you is if Jupiter had basically the best cycle it could have had in terms of usage, and this was the end result in terms of price action for the Jupe token, then going forward where with that usage part, you probably don't exceed that, well, the token probably doesn't do as well then. And this applies to a lot of coins. right? Now, if the Jupe token had good value accrual, where the usage of the platform directly translated and benefited to the Jupe token, then it's different. And I think there are many such cases of that this cycle. For example, I think we can all agree that if you were to tell Solana bulls back in the day, which I too was one myself, that Solana would have the type of cycle that it did, where you then told me the top would be 294, I would not believe it, right? So I think that within itself shows that good fundamentals does not mean upward price action. I think fundamentals are a way for influencers to sort of explain in a mid-curve way why a crypto is good or bad, kind of describing it in apples and oranges, which does not work in crypto. If it did work that way, then we wouldn't have the likes of Fartcoin topping at 2.7 billion and now putting in a run that probably challenges that. So you need to have the ability to use TA because TA is objective. It ties in with price action. TA is definitely a thing, but then you need to be able to look into the future, use your intuition, and try to see if a crypto can create a story that will then result in a bid, which is what we did with Fartcoin when buying it at 20 cents and end up getting what will likely be a 10, 20x on the lower end. And so on that note, I do think meme coins make a comeback for better or for worse. They're just easy. And so whether it's in the form of static meme coins or the AI agent meme coins, which obviously we did very well with, or another type of meme coin sector, which I am hearing some things on what that could be. So make sure you're subscribed to not miss out on that alpha. So I don't want meme coins to make a comeback. I don't. I do think that they stole a lot of the bid this cycle. Unfortunately, taking my feelings out of it, I think they make a comeback. And the reason is because so many people failed this cycle flat out. If we do get another run, their urgency to make more money, more gains will be greater than ever before. And as always, to get a 10x or more, it has to come from illiquid means, which meme coins are the prevalent way to get into. I don't think the same meme coins make a comeback. Some will, for sure. But memes, I think, will be a big thing. Then we have the boomer coins. So the boomer coins caught a lot of people off guard. They were the main winners of that run we had at the end of last year. But I think this goes back to the whole fundamentals idea. These coins are straight up cults, right? And so XRP, it doesn't have to actually do anything, right? But the narrative of being related with banks, being the world reserve currency, crazy stuff like that. It turns out in crypto, if you believed in that stuff, you would have been better off versus buying into whatever was true. And so I've been very bullish on XRP for a long time because of this. And I think it continues to make a steep run into that next leg. And then the other class of crypto I would avoid is those that look like they've topped. So for example, Injective, right? Great coin had an incredible run of 50x from $1 to $50. But what happens is when a coin is going up a lot, you say you want it cheaper. But by the time it gets cheaper, the trade may be gone, i.e. Injective and a bunch of other coins. Instead, I would argue to look into coins that are still yet to make a run. So with Filecoin, I'm not saying buy it per se. What I am saying is that since the bear market, Filecoin has not moved. It's been consolidating for almost 3 years. Now, this thing won't ever get to all-time highs again. And you may be thinking, ew, Filecoin, why would I buy that? But it's because it looks so bad that there may be an opportunity here. Going back to our Injective example, during these lows, a lot of people did not buy it because it looked horrible. But then when it goes up, you don't want to buy again because it's too expensive. But when it ends up down here, you can't buy either because now it's completed a run. So you need to be buying coins that are either in this step or this step. In other words, they don't look great. That's why they're worth a punt. Obviously, I have fully loaded up on coins that I believe will make huge runs in that next leg, which I think will occur. If you're interested to know what I'm holding, the exact coins I'm holding, when I'm buying, when to buy, these are all things I've discussed in my Discord. So join that if you're feeling lost. But the main point is not so much longer now. So you need to get ready sooner rather than later because once things move, you'll be sidelined and left saying, what should I do? For more content like this, make sure you're subscribed and I will see you next time.